Autumn, 1098. The horizon of Europe stretches gray beneath a chill morning sky. Thousands of men, women, and children gather in makeshift camps, their faces pale with hunger, yet alight with faith. The clang of armor and the creak of wooden wagons mingle with the prayers whispered in dozens of tongues, all converging under the same crimson cross. You can almost taste the dust on the air, smell the sweat of horses pressed against tired riders, hear the murmured hopes of peasants clutching the few possessions they dare carry. At the forefront, Godfrey of Bouillon rides atop a massive destrier, its hooves striking sparks from the stones of the narrow road. He scans the ragged crowd of knights, foot soldiers, and pilgrims, his jaw tight under the sun-bleached hair. "Keep the line," he orders, voice cutting across the wind. The path is long, and the holy city awaits. Behind him, a peasant woman hums a hymn as she pushes her cart, her infant bundled against the cold. Children stumble, weeping as blisters form on bare feet, and men mutter prayers between labored breaths. For 3 years, they have marched, across mountains that pierce clouds, along rivers swollen with spring melt, through forests thick with wolves and bandits alike. Starvation has gnawed at their bellies, disease has claimed friends, and internal quarrels threaten morale. Yet every night, under a sky smattered with stars, the fires flicker with hope. Crusaders draw maps in the dirt, tracing the route to Jerusalem with trembling fingers, imagining the golden spires and fortified walls that rise somewhere beyond the horizon. A horn blares, announcing scouts returning from the forward line. Dust clouds roll across the plains, stirring anticipation and fear. The city is close. One rider gasps, dismounting and pressing a hand to his forehead. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Jerusalem. The name tastes of salvation and death in equal measure. Knights adjust their grips on steel, and women clutch relics tight to their chests, whispering fervent prayers to saints they may never see again. Even now, some among the pilgrims whisper doubts. Will the walls hold? A young boy asks his father, voice quivering. The man grips his son's shoulder, eyes scanning the distant hills. "The Lord shall guide us," he answers, though his knuckles blanch white. Around them, banners flutter, red crosses stark against the wind-streaked sky, a river of faith moving inexorably toward destiny. As the caravan descends into the plains of modern-day Israel, the sun sets in molten streaks, igniting the horizon in fire and blood red. Jerusalem waits silently, its golden domes catching the dying light, indifferent to the men and women who approach. Every step of the Crusaders crunches against gravel and stone, every heartbeat echoing the centuries-old tension between hope and dread. They are pilgrims no longer. They are warriors, drawn by faith, hardened by suffering, and poised on the edge of history itself. June 1099. Jerusalem rises from the arid hills like a mirage of gold and stone. From a distance, the city gleams under the scorching Levantine sun, its walls high and unyielding, its towers casting long shadows over the narrow streets below. From the ramparts, Iftikhar ad-Dawla, the Fatimid governor, surveys the encroaching masses. He moves along the battlements with a soldier at his side, the sun burning off the morning mist, eyes tracing the distant line of Crusaders snaking across the hills. The city smells of baking bread, heated stone, and the faint tang of the desert wind, carrying the faint prayers of those unaware of the storm gathering at their gates. Inside Jerusalem, defenders hurry to strengthen the walls. Stones are hauled into place, oil and boiling water are readied, and archers position themselves on the towers. Quivers bristling with arrows. Merchants and farmers join the militia, lifting weapons heavy with fear and desperation. From Mount Zion, the Crusaders can see it all, the golden dome of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the narrow alleyways, the thick city walls, and the massive northern gates that have withstood countless sieges. To them, it seems impregnable, a city built by God himself to test men's faith. Godfrey of Bouillon rides along the forefront, peering through the heat haze. His banner flutters over the assembled knights, the crimson cross stark against the pale desert landscape. "We face more than stone and mortar," he tells his captains, voice low and solemn. "Jerusalem is alive with faith, both ours and theirs. But we march for God, and the walls will tremble before us." Around him, knights tighten their gauntlets, swords glinting, their armor catching the sun in brief flashes. Behind them, peasants cling to the hope that holiness will shield them from the coming violence. The city stirs with tension. From within the walls, trumpets blare warnings, and drums echo the heartbeat of defenders readying for the siege. Smoke rises from distant ovens, mingling with the scent of heated stone, and the cries of children and livestock weave into a tapestry of life that the Crusaders intend to tear apart. Every arrow shot from the walls, every shouted order from a Fatimid commander, every prayer whispered by the devout, reminds the approaching army that Jerusalem is not merely a city, it is a fortress, a holy symbol, and a test of their devotion. At sunset, the heat softens, but the tension does not. Shadows stretch across the desert, flickering over the Crusader encampment as men stare toward the city. Jerusalem glows like a jewel at dusk, taunting, serene, and impenetrable. Pilgrims clutch relics tighter, knights whisper blessings, and Godfrey's eyes remain fixed on the walls. In this moment, the enormity of the task ahead presses upon them. The city they have dreamed of, the city of their faith, may not yield without blood, sacrifice, and a will stronger than stone. July 1099. The heat of the Levantine summer presses down on the Crusader camp. Dust hangs in the air like smoke, swirling around the battered tents and scorched earth. Horses paw at the ground, hooves sending tiny clouds of grit into the stifling sunlight. Pilgrims turned warriors stir uneasily, their bare arms slick with sweat beneath mail shirts, their faces streaked with grime and sunburn. For 3 long years, they have endured hunger, disease, and the endless march. But now the city they have sought looms large before them, walls high, towers gleaming, and gates fortified with iron and stone. Godfrey of Bouillon surveys the encampment, his eyes narrowed beneath a sweat-darkened brow. Beside him, Raymond of Toulouse crouches over hastily drawn plans on a tattered scroll, tracing the northern approach to the Tower of David. "The walls are strong," Raymond mutters, voice tense with anticipation. "But where there is a city, there is always a weakness." Around them, carpenters and engineers strain to dismantle wagons and carts, transforming timber into towering siege engines. Wheels creak, hammers pound, and men sweat under the weight of logs and ropes. Each movement accompanied by the distant wail of children and the low groan of exhausted beasts. The first siege towers begin their slow crawl toward Jerusalem's walls, pulled by chains and driven by desperate hands. Archers on the tower's upper decks let fly volleys of arrows to harry the defenders, while men below shovel earth to stabilize the wheels and push forward the massive structures. Oil and sandbags are ready to smother the flames that defenders might rain down from above. Every grunt, shout, and clang of metal is amplified across the plain, a chorus of human effort poised against stone and faith. Inside the city, Iftikhar ad-Dawla moves along the ramparts, shouting orders to archers and soldiers, his voice carrying across the walls. Boiling oil bubbles in cauldrons, arrows are fletched and loosed with deadly precision, and stones are hoisted high, only to smash into advancing Crusaders below. Yet even as defenders hurl fire and rock, the siege towers inch forward, groaning under the weight of men, wood, and steel. The The tension is electric, every heartbeat a drum. Every arrow a reminder of the fragile balance between survival and slaughter. As the sun dips toward the horizon, a hush falls across the plains. The towers pause, soldiers catch their breath, and the heat of the day gives way to a cooler wind. Priests move among the ranks, holding relics aloft and chanting psalms, their voices rising in solemn cadence that carries over the battlefield. The Crusaders are exhausted, but faith fuels their resolve. They are no longer merely men. They are instruments of a divine will, preparing to challenge walls that centuries of builders believed could never fall. And as night descends, lanterns flicker across the encampment, casting long shadows over armor, timber, and the faces of those who will confront destiny at dawn. Jerusalem sleeps, unaware of the coming storm, while the Crusaders steel themselves for the trial that will decide the fate of the city and of history itself. July 14th, 1099. The air is thick with smoke and the scent of burning oil. Dawn breaks over Jerusalem, casting pale light across the city's walls, now streaked with soot and arrow marks from the previous days. Crusader siege towers groan as they inch closer, their timber wheels leaving deep ruts in the sun-baked earth. The clash of steel, the thunder of hooves, and the hiss of arrows loosed from the battlements fill the plain. Every man knows the stakes. Faith, glory, and survival hang in the balance. On the northern ramparts, defenders pour boiling oil onto the attackers, rocks splinter timber, and flames leap from torches tossed over the walls. Yet the Crusaders press forward, chanting psalms and invoking saints. Godfrey of Bouillon rides at the front, sword raised high, the metal catching the early light like a beacon. "For Jerusalem! For the Holy Sepulchre!" he cries, and the echo carries across the city, mingling with the terrified screams of those trapped within. The siege towers reach the walls. Ladders scrape stone as armored men surge upward, shields raised against arrows and molten metal. Archers atop the towers release a hailstorm of bolts, cutting down defenders trying to repel them. The northern gate shudders under the weight of battering rams, each strike sending splinters into the air. Prayers rise in unison with the clanging of iron, creating a soundscape of desperation, faith, and violence. Inside the walls, Iftikhar ad-Dawla rallies his men. "Hold, hold, or all is lost," he shouts, his voice raw with strain. Soldiers leap from battlement to battlement, hurling stones and fire, trying to repel the invaders. But the Crusaders, hardened by years of hardship, are relentless. They move as one body, driven by belief and the promise of salvation, surging over each obstacle with unwavering determination. By midday, the northern wall near the Tower of David begins to give way. Crusaders pour into the breach, their footsteps echoing through the alleyways of Jerusalem. Flames spread from overturned cauldrons, smoke curls into the sky, and the air vibrates with the roar of men and horses alike. Those who survive the initial assault scatter, some seeking shelter in churches, others fleeing toward the inner sanctums of the city. The impossible has happened. Walls once deemed impregnable crumble before a tide of iron, wood, and unyielding human will. As the sun sets, the city trembles under the weight of the Crusaders' advance. Smoke and dust blot out the horizon. The cries of victory mingle with screams of terror. Jerusalem, the holy city, has fallen, and in that moment, triumph and tragedy are inseparable, each amplifying the other in a scene of chaos that will be remembered for centuries. July 15th, 1099. Jerusalem lies in ruin, yet its golden domes still catch the harsh sunlight, glinting over streets slick with blood and dust. Crusaders spill into the city like a tide, swords raised, armor scorched, faces streaked with sweat and grime. The roar of victory clashes with the cries of the dying, and the acrid smoke from burning homes and workshops curls into the sky. Every corner of the city holds a story of fear, courage, and desperation, and the men who fought for 3 years now find themselves witnesses to a scene too vast and terrible to comprehend. Godfrey of Bouillon rides through the chaos, eyes scanning the streets. He sees men dragging bodies aside, priests kneeling in silent prayer, and children staring wide-eyed from the rubble of homes. The weight of triumph sits uneasily upon him. This is not the glory he imagined in Europe. "Spare the faithful," he commands, but the tide of men driven by rage and fervor is nearly impossible to restrain. The city, once alive with markets and song, now resonates with grief, fear, and the hollow clang of steel striking stone. Knights ascend the church of the Holy Sepulchre, the site of their sacred pilgrimage. Within its hallowed walls, they kneel, their armor dented, their hands shaking from exhaustion. The chanting of priests mingles with the distant cries from the streets below, a solemn reminder that victory in this sacred city comes at a cost that no man can truly measure. Pilgrims who began this journey barefoot and hopeful now bear the scars of blood, fire, and relentless battle, their faith tempered like steel in the crucible of Jerusalem's fall. As evening falls, the city is quieting under the shadow of loss. Fires smolder in the narrow streets, sending red and gold light dancing across stone walls. The cries have lessened, replaced by the murmurs of the weary and the prayers of the broken. Godfrey, standing atop a battered wall, gazes over Jerusalem, a city conquered, yet a city transformed by suffering. In that moment, triumph and tragedy are inseparable, bound together by the hands of men who dared to challenge fate itself in the name of faith. The Crusaders have won, but the victory is heavy. Streets, towers, and homes, once symbols of daily life and devotion, are now monuments to human endurance and the grim reality of war. And as the night descends over Jerusalem, silence settles like a shroud over the city, leaving only the flickering torches and whispered prayers to mark the cost of conquest. July 1099. Jerusalem sleeps uneasily beneath a blanket of smoke and sorrow. The city's streets, once bustling with merchants, pilgrims, and children, now lie scarred and silent, the echo of steel and screams fading into the evening air. Crusaders move cautiously, eyes scanning alleyways and courtyards, each step measured against the memory of the violence that unfolded just hours before. Even in victory, the weight of what they have done presses upon them a reminder that faith and fury can coexist, but rarely without cost. Godfrey of Bouillon stands before the gates of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, his armor dented, gauntlets streaked with dried blood, face lined with exhaustion and contemplation. Though the city is his to command, he refuses the title of king. Instead, he takes the mantle advocate of the Holy Sepulchre, a symbolic guardian rather than a sovereign ruler. Around him, knights and priests prepare to enforce order, tending to the wounded, burying the dead, and ensuring that the fragile peace is held amidst the ruins of what was once a thriving city. From the walls, you can see the remnants of Jerusalem's defenses, shattered gates, splintered towers, and the scorched remains of homes. Survivors, both defenders and civilians, emerge cautiously, eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. Traders and farmers assess the damage, some weeping at the destruction of markets and granaries. The air carries the mixed scents of smoke, incense, and the faint perfume of crushed flowers that once adorned the city's sacred sites. It is a crown of ashes, beautiful in its history, but scarred by blood and human ambition. The Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem is born, a fragile outpost surrounded by enemies, yet bolstered by faith and resolve. Godfrey and his men know that the city's fall is only the beginning, that walls may be rebuilt, alliances may shift, and new battles will loom on the horizon. Yet, in this moment, the impossible has been achieved. A city thought impregnable has fallen, and men and women, hardened by 3 years of hardship and relentless belief, have etched their names into the annals of history. As night blankets Jerusalem, torches flicker in the streets, casting long shadows across the stone. The silence is both a relief and a reminder. The city they conquered belongs to no one entirely, and every triumph carries the burden of what has been lost. You, watching through the lens of time, can almost hear the whispers of the past prayers, cries, and the weighty footsteps of those who dared to claim a city built of faith and stone. The walls that once seemed impenetrable now stand empty, a testament to human will, divine belief, and the tragic cost of conquest.